Dragon Wake by Jasmine Alexandra Ocampo. The premise: what if you wake up as a mythical creature with no memory of who you were, but an idea of what you were? Waking up in a strange place, strange world, and a different body. You have to imagine yourself in a different situation and imagine using limbs that you've not had to use before. Growing another pair of arms and use them as wings, using a tail, it takes a lot of work and it could be quite a shock. And the journey just is beginning. And as I said in the concept, imagine waking up in a world not your own as a mythical creature with no memory of who you were, only that you were once human. The story first is the character is waking up in a strange place. Second, taken in by a clan of creatures that seem to be like her and learning how to be what she is. And the third is being attacked by a knight. And the fourth, making a deal with her attacker and turning her enemy into an ally. And the fifth, discovering the library palace, where another chapter of her life begins. Three main characters would be the dragon, the knight, and the griffin. As you can see, the main character, the dragon, I drew her concept color as rainbow. I based it on a Aztec god, Quetzalcoatl. And since the Aztecs believed that he was also responsible for rainbows, I thought using rainbow colors and making her very bright and colorful, not only to indicate her ancestry or her connection to this Aztec snake god, but also possibly her her ability to use magic. Dragon, catchphrase: take it down a notch. She cannot talk, but she can speak with her mind. So therefore, as she is learning how to speak things from her own mind, she usually her sarcasm leaks through. She is a listener, but given that she cannot talk, it's one of the qualities that she's learned to utilize, and she's forced to partake. She can't lie. Since you can speak through your mind, it's really hard to lie to your own self. And there is one thing that she's found, that she will not and won't kill. Two value beliefs: she won't kill, of course, and listen before you act. Even though she lost the ability to really talk through her mouth and can only speak through her mind, she found that listening has really helped her in situations. A significant event is her waking up as an amnesiac dragon. Key relationships: keeping the knight alive. Despite him attacking her, she feels that all life is worth saving. And also learning from Griffin. Second character is first enemy turned ally, Knight, aka Harrison. For honor: hey, if I cook it, you eat it. Three qualities: he thinks he's righteous and that his word is his honor. Used to think that myth monsters were evil. Two values or beliefs: he believes that your word is an honor. He keeps a promise and he keeps it no matter what. He believes that is part of the knight's code. It's a sin to waste food. Apparently he's also quite a amateur chef. He does enjoy cooking, even though some of his meals are a little bit iffy. And he always carries a vial of chili oil because it makes everything delicious. Significant event: when he first meets Dragon and attacking her, and then ends up getting injured. Key relationships: injured by Dragon and nursed back to health by Dragon. So he finds himself having a connection with her since she had saved his life after he tried to take hers. Third character is Griffin. He comes at the end of the story, but in the beginning of the second chapter of her life. His catchphrase is "did you know," where he starts referring certain knowledges and clues and ideas. He's an avid learner. Could be dangerous, like, let's try it. He's an experiment. He believes that everything, he wants to test everything out and see how far he could push it and how much he could learn from it. Hold up safety. He's also very big on safety. I mean, what's use of an experiment if you're going to lose an eye? Three qualities in him. He's a librarian in training, so therefore he knows extensive amount of the library palace. He loves information and books, therefore it's his dream job to be a librarian, and he appreciates that. And he also appreciates that Dragon listens. Despite her disability of able to speak, the fact that she does listen and take in what he says, he finds that as a very rare quality in people around him, since a lot of people think he talks too much. Two values or beliefs. He believes that magic is relative and knowledge is truth, lies are clues, and that logic solves everything. One significant event, when Dragon asks his help for the hurt knight. Apparently, when they first came into the library palace, the knight was suffered from another scuffle, and even though Dragon had tried to save him, he did get injured, and so she did ask for help. Despite her wanting to be there for knowledge, she decided to forego that and save his life again. Key relation feels a kinship with Dragona because they're both mythical creatures and they're both creatures that are curious about learning. Places, the first place is the Cliff Village. I put the three mounts here: the island, the mainland, and the house. So first we'll go to the Cliff Village. The Cliff Village is the village where you can only fly in. Three qualities is the village is inside a stormy sea cliff. Two, you could always smell the spicy scents that fill the air from the cooking and from the dragons themselves. There's wind chimes always sounding within the cliff edge. Because it's so steep and you can only fly in, they don't have to be afraid to hide or cover their village, since it's practically impossible to enter without wings. And they have two uses or purposes: is to keep the dragon folks safe from hunters, and the only way in is to fly in, therefore no fear of invaders. Three significant events is the place where Dragona had to learn to fly to get in. She first comes in and she wakes up in the mainland and she realizes she can't fly in order to be in the safe place. So she had to learn that the hard way. She had taken after she was attacked by the knight is where the knight stayed at while he recovered and got to know the other dragons and realized that they were not as he thought they were. And also, despite it being her new home, it was the place that Dragona had to say farewell to her new family. Key relationships in the Cliff Village was the knight, where the knight had learned about the dragon people and opened his eyes against his own shortcomings. And La Señora is the dragon elder who helped guide Dragona and had Dragona learn a little bit about herself and the culture in her clan and the legends. And then the place number 2 is the mainland, the land of mystery and myth. Three qualities: it's woodsy with rivers and active volcanoes. Magic is a natural an element there as fresh water. Has few scattered villages and diverse environments like forests, desert valleys. Rivers crisscross through this land like freeways. So if you want to go anywhere, you go by river. Two uses and purposes were that the mainland is where dragons journey through villages, woods, and cities to find answers to existence. So this is where she has to travel through in order to get to find answers about herself. And the mainland is where most folks live in: humans, other mythical creatures, and they're set apart by villages. Three significant events are beasts. This is the place where Dragona first wakes up alone alongside a river in the mainland. This is where she starts her journey through to the mainland to find answers. And she travels through this land to learn of the people that live in this land. And, of course, their history and science. Key relationship: the mainland rivers where Dragona travels through to find more like her. joins, and when she first is born, she decides, her instinct tells her to go into the river, and where she finds the rest of her people. 2 joins Griffin and the Knights on a journey through the mainland. And this is the part where, in the second chapter of her life, she decides to travel along with Griffin and the Knight through the mainland to find answers and knowledge for, and to complete a mission for the Library Palace. The Library Palace, it's the home of knowledge, learning, and discovery. It's full of books from the top of the castle to the boughs under the mountain. You can literally become lost without a librarian. A librarian is more than just a bookkeeper. It is also a guide. It is the person that will show you wherever you need to look for. Without a librarian, you could become hopelessly lost and possibly never be found again. So you must use a librarian in order to look through the Library Palace. Besides book, it also houses writers and teachers. It has many schools and scholars and universities within this palace. 2 uses or purposes is to looking for answers for existence. Dragona uses this to try to find answers in existence. She goes on missions with Griffin to gather more knowledge and finding answers to the world around her. 3 significant events that happen in the Library Palace is that when she arrives to find answers to the world, she gets lost in the palace and finds a strange orb that appears before her and tells her that she must go out to the world in order to save it. And she makes a deal with Griffin to gather knowledge and let him study her in order for her to find answers about herself. And the key relationship is when she meets Griffin there, who guides her. Knight and Dragon are assigned to accompany Griffin on his quest for knowledge. And here are 3 things: the mahuete, the sword, and the book. The mahuete, this may not kill you, but the catchphrase is, this may not kill you, but it'll hurt you. Has a deep connection to obsidian, just like his sword. So Dragona has obsidian coming from her, like from her nails, and so her nails are dark as obsidian and sharp, but yet stronger. Unlike obsidian that breaks like glass, dragon nails seem to be a lot harder, has a diamond-like element. The sword seems to have also a connection to her origins, and mysteriously it always returns to her from anywhere. So she could throw it out off a mountain and it will return to her. 2 uses and purpose: it holds off enemies without using her fire, since her fire seems to be a last resort that she wants to use, and can use to cut wood or cut meat for food. So she uses it for other purposes than just defending herself. 3 significant events or beats: it was given to her by Senora when she left, and so it means a lot to her, since that is a piece of her clan that goes with her. And used to keep enemies back without killing them when they go through a camp of hunters. Apparently they run into a camp of hunters, and she didn't want to kill any of them, so she uses that to keep them back. And she somehow feels a deep connection to it in her dreams. It seems that when she does go into her dreams, that is the one thing that goes with her, even if in her dreams, she is in her human form. Key relationships: Makueta always comes back to her, and Dragona learns to mend and care for the weapon as if it is a part of herself. Thing 2 is the sword. This may break a lot, but it's my sword. That's the sword. It's an old sword for Knight. This belongs to the Knight, Harrison. 3 qualities: it's an old sword that keeps breaking. Apparently that's the thing that keeps going on. He keeps using his sword and he's just too zealous and always snaps it. And of course, it takes fire and patience and money to put it back together. Has the family's motto. It has the nice family's motto on it. It keeps getting repaired and it costs money to do it, as I said before. 2 uses and purposes: Knight is too aggressive with his sword, which he keeps breaking. He's an effective attacker, but if he doesn't use his tools right, apparently it's not a really good, not a long-standing attack. But yet it is also something that the Knight to sharpen and look cool doing. It's something he uses whenever he's thinking or he's trying to pen something. He gets his whetstone and starts sharpening his old sword. Significant events: he used the sword to attack Dragona. He also used the sword to teach Dragona how to swing a weapon. And he talks about how the old sword is his family's heirloom and his connection to his family through the sword. It is the Knight's, and so And a key relationship, it belongs to the knight, and it's the knight's connection to his family and to being a knight. And despite people saying that maybe he should get a new sword and a stronger sword, he will not get rid of it. And it's the only sword he wants to use. It has too much sentimental value. And this is thing three, the book. Catchphrase. Let me change that. I had a catchphrase here. The catchphrase is, this books are like people. They keep growing and learning. 3 qualities. Anything recorded in the book appears in the library palace. This is Griffin's treasure. Griffin's diary and journal. This is diary of feelings, and journal of discovery. Keeps it close to him always. 2 key purposes. Records everything they learn. Can use to defend themselves with spells. Significant events. Griffin uses the book to help Dragona. This one is, the book reveals that it knows about the orb that spoke to Dragona. Book also speaks in dreams. Key relationships. The book may have more answers than what the words say. The book is one of the most vital part of this story. Not only does it record everything that the characters do and what Griffin writes down, but somehow the book is always trying to reach out to Dragona, trying to give her a message that something is going to happen. Perhaps the book knows more than it's saying. All right, lore. So right now we're more familiar with the Dragon Clan's lore, but each land has a different story and tell, just like in our world, each people and culture has a different story of what had happened in the beginning, in the end, and each holiday. Here we'll be more familiar with the Dragon Clan, and according to her clan, Quetzalcoatl descended into the underworld to bring up the bones of the dead. They would be used to bring to life the people who are now here. For some reason, a certain kind of dragons are not new souls, but souls of another world, by using his own blood to imbue the bones with new life. The mystery is why. Each culture has a different belief. Could they all get along? So in this lore, they believe that Quetzalcoatl created them using their souls, bones, and his blood. That's why they're so imbued with magic. And that's why they have so many elements within them. And the science is more coming from the Library Palace, but many extensive scientific researchers suggest that one's soul or consciousness has the ability to be reborn into the physical world in a new body. However, there are few that have memories of this, and evidence is inconclusive. So there are many theories, but as I said, these are coming from the science of the Library Palace. They are more the scientific type. Magic is the only element that can be changed into any other substance. Every other element is made up of its own type of atom except for magic. That is why the chemical elements are all very different from each other, yet magic can change them. Dragon blood and flesh is one of the sources of magic. The world is inhabited, and then here is the history. The world is inhabited by supernatural creatures whose existence could be both symbolic and real. However, scholars from the Library of Palace theorize that the world they are in were different worlds that crashed together and formed into one. With all the different life forms brought together that had evolved differently from each other in the beginning, it was no wonder that they all looked different. However, given the radical differences in geographical areas in the mainland and islands, some believe that this is the best theory. Right, so then we're going into the lore. The lore is according to the Dragon Clan, Quetzalcoatl had to go into the other world to collect some of the bones and souls of that had passed on. So according to them and in legends that they were brought in, they were protected by two underworld gods, and that Quetzalcoatl had to do these certain tasks in order to bring them to life. He had to, and in order to escape from the underworld and the dark forces that were chasing him, he had to cut a hole into across the stars and took the bones and souls of to the snake goddess, who formed them into beings as they are by mixing the scales, feathers, and fire and of Quetzalcoatl's blood. And in the history, they say, as I said, the Liberian Palace believes that if at one point different worlds that had started to form had crashed into each other, and therefore, because of the crash, they slowly began to form into one world, which is why there are so many different elements in this one world, and why there are so many different geographical areas in the mainland and islands. Some believe that they might be across other dimensions, but right now this is the definitive theory. Many extensive science research suggesting that one's soul or consciousness has the ability to be reborn, since it is an energy just as natural as magic. And some believe that magic is the only element that can be changed into another substance. As I said before, this is what their theory is right now. Magic is, to them, is still a mysterious element, just like any other person that would be studying chemistry. One of the major holidays that the Dragon clans celebrate is the eclipse day of Quetzalcoatl. A major holiday is the eclipse where the sun or the moon is covered by the great snake Quetzalcoatl. However, it is also when he looks down and checks on his people. The Dragon clan celebrate the phenomenon with dancing, cakes, and treats to show him that they are happy, that they still remember and love him. And also the magical creatures gather in pools and party up. They go into the rivers and lakes and they start having a party and imbue the water with magic. They say that the magic they stir with their partying blesses and feeds the land. Although some humans do like to take advantage of the holiday to hunt these mythical creatures, many mythical creatures are hunted when heading towards the festival. And that is my story of Dragon's Wake. I'm hoping that you enjoyed this journey as much as I did, and thank you very much for participating, and hope this story will come to fruition one day. Thank you.